Well, hello everyone. Yeah, while we're waiting for some people to join, would you mind sharing where you're joining from? Let me start. I'm based just outside of Amsterdam. Um, Now maybe you go and pop where you're joining from in the chat box. Okay, no one? Okay, let's just wait maybe one more minute and we will start. I can Okay. So today we are going to talk about the role of the school in family language planning. But before I start, let me just quickly introduce myself. So I'm a part of a team with Raising Bilingual Children. It was started maybe 15, 20 years ago by Dr. Eowyn Crisfield. And my colleague Daphne and I joined a while ago. So my name is Maria Potvin, and what we do is we help practitioners, educational practitioners, doctors, teachers, schools, and so on. And families. We educate them on bilingualism in development and family language planning. So, so just a quick overview of what you're to expect today. We're going to talk about what family language planning is and what it entails. We're going to talk about why family language planning is relevant for the educational context. And we are going to discuss what the schools can do concretely about employing more inclusive practices, positive messaging, and concrete solutions that they can employ. We've got two main objectives. The first one is to develop a little bit of a better understanding of the concept of family language planning, how significant it is, and what kind of a role the school plays. And the other objective is to collect a variety of actionable strategies that will lead both teachers, families, children, everybody to success. So what we do is we help parents with language management at home, because language management at home is never just about language. It's about a lot more than language. And when a family has a child or children, they make the conscious decision to raise this child with more than one language, because they come from different backgrounds, they speak different language, maybe they live in another location. It is a very conscious decision that they make, and they have to make a number of other decisions about their parenting style. And there are a lot of people that start chiming in. There is information that comes from a lot of different directions at them, be it grandparents, extended family, friends, doctors, social media, school, daycare. Everybody thinks they know more, they know better, they found the perfect solution. And I have to say, a lot of this information is not necessarily correct. So we help families channel all this information. We help them collect all this information and prepare a language management strategy that works best for their particular situation. We help them, well, this strategy unites them and adds to the familial well-being when they're in unison working together and all on the same strand. And when the family is feels about their language choices, this ultimately helps with achieving their goals. So it's all about empowering. And family language planning lays the foundation for all other language planning that families make and will make in the future. So what it's about, there are three main pillars, let's say, to family language planning. We start with defining our language goals. When we define our language goals, we're able to plan on how to achieve them, and then we plan for literacy. There are three main types of goals. We have communicative, basic literacy, and academic literacy. And when families define their language goals, they sort of figure out and think about how they would like their children to use their languages at a later point. And goal setting helps families also understand how much input they'll need, help them with the next step, which is planning for input. So when they set their goals, they need to start planning for them. And there are a lot of questions that come during this phase. They realize the importance of input, of language exposure. They need to figure out where all this input is going to come from, and they need to figure out how all this input and this dynamic is going to impact the child's language development and the family language dynamic. So what's really important here is that families are brutally honest about how much effort and how much how much they're willing to sacrifice to achieve their goals. Because let's be honest, often we have to sacrifice a lot in order to achieve our family goals, language goals. For example, am I willing to not go to different holiday destinations every summer, but rather just to go to locations where the same language is spoken? So I want to enhance my child's language skills in this language. So then families often go back to the goal step, and they think about maybe they want to change something, and they want to enhance something and amend their choices. And it's really important here, while they co-plan with parents and when they help them and when they discuss sometimes with parents, to talk about the importance of storytelling and conversation and reading as a source of language input. And the last step is planning for literacy, if you're aiming for basic literacy or academic literacy in some of your languages. Here, there are a couple of messages that are important. Literacy planning helps family understand. This is probably the most important thing. It helps families understand how home language literacy relates to the literacy in the school language, and how it helps also with academic success. It's important to keep in mind here that literacy skills are transferable, and it's also really important to get assurance from the school that while developing multiple literacies, there will be language influence, not language interference, but language influence. There will be mixing of words, there will be mixing of letters, and there needs to be this understanding that the school knows that a monolingual brain develops in a different way than a multilingual brain does. By the way, I'm going to be using the words bilingual and multilingual interchangeably when I refer to a child growing up with more than one language. So this is just a little side note. But coming back to the literacy planning, it's really important if a child is developing multiple literacies at the same time. It's very important for this to be communicated to the school and to be discussed in detail. But having talked about this, what role does exactly the school plays in this process, and why is it so important to have this exchange and this collaboration? Well, successful collaboration between parents and the school is essential for effective language planning. And it's all that said, it's very important to highlight the importance of home language maintenance, and the fact that all parties involved are basically responsible for home language maintenance, both parents, but also the school. Why, you will ask, and this is a very valid question. The reason is simple, because everybody involved has the same common goal. They want to maximize the child's potential. They want the child to thrive. They want the child to achieve academic success. Everybody works towards the same goal: help the child thrive. So, all this said, how is the home language actually connected to the educational context? When I work with families and when I talk to families, the one of the biggest aha moments they have during our interactions is when we talk about the fact that all languages in the brain are connected. So if you look at the picture here on the left, we see the way we used to think languages are stored in the brain. We used to think the brain is a box, and we can only fit so much in it. So when you have a couple of different bubbles, let's say 3 bubbles with 3 different languages, when you keep pushing air input in one of them, the other ones shrink to make room for the one that's expanding. So everybody thought the more you feed one language, the more the other ones will suffer. So when a child would start school in a new language that is completely new to them and it's not spoken at the home, the advice a child would get would be drop everything and just focus on the school language. And this actually, unfortunately, still happens nowadays. So what we now know is that all our languages are connected. They're all a part of a whole, and the so-called common underlying proficiency, and they support and help each other. They don't fight for dominance. So why the home language is so important for the education context is the fact that the home language creates the foundation and for all language learning. And if a child has a solid foundation in the home language, they will have a much easier time learning the school language and then achieving academic success later on. So beyond this parents have a lot of other issues that they deal with, that have to do with the school language. They don't know how to handle bilingual development. What happens when you add other languages? Then there is another second, third language learned in school. Then what happens with the integration? There are so many things parents are unsure about, and they need, when they enter a new school, they really need the support and assurance from the school that the fact that they want to develop their home language is a good thing, and they need support in assuring them that they're on the right path, and help in finding resources, finding community, and having the school as an inclusive and welcoming community for them. That's fine. So what can the school do? The school can do a number of things, starting from the physical feel, for the parents to feel included, to feel a part of a community. When they enter the school, a new family, do they see a lot of, let's say, posters, pictures, different signs in different languages, and a couple of other things that I've listed here. I have a lot of bullet points on my slides. I'm not going to be enumerating everything, because you're going to get a recording later and you can go through all that. But some of the physical characteristics of a school that is welcoming and inclusive, and beyond that, they need to see both parents and teachers, both parents and students, that inclusive practices are adopted on many different levels, because they need to see, obviously, that the school is inclusive. They need to hear it, but they also need to feel it. They need to feel that they're welcome in the school. And this starts with a simple section on the school website that is dedicated to bilingualism and development, telling parents, hey, we understand. You come to our school, you don't speak the school language, or you have a very basic command of the school language, but that's fine, because we understand how multilingualism works. We understand how multilingual children work and learn, and we want to help you. And we don't want you to pretend to be someone else when you come. We are willing to support you. And you as a school needs to show with actions that all languages are welcome, by not banning languages at school, by not, for example, not children being allowed to speak their languages in school, to, let's say, during recess, when they get together, they're allowed to speak their own language with different children, including children who have special education needs, and helping them to evolve as multilingual learners, and not telling them by default that they have special education needs, so bilingualism is out of the question for them. And of course, it's important. This is all very important, especially for parents whose language is, lower status, because all languages have a certain status depending on where, in different environments. Let's say one language might have a very high status in Europe, but lower status in North America, for example. So it's really important to communicate to parents that they're welcome and their languages are welcome. It's very important to communicate the policies that you have around languages. I recently worked with a family from Belgium, excuse me, and they manage 3 languages, English, French, and Dutch. And their child goes to a Dutch school, and they have dedicated their home environment and their family life to English and French. And they don't want to switch languages when they go to school. They want to continue speaking to their children in English or French, respectively. But the mom, she feels very insecure when she goes into the school because it's never been really openly communicated. She knows that they like to adopt inclusive language, inclusive policies, but she thinks that she might be stepping on toes when she is not using Dutch in the school. And she feels very insecure about this. So, for example, communicating information like this and talking to parents is also can be very helpful. And of course, creating here some more ideas of what can be done regarding inclusive practices. And creating relationships with parents, opportunities to build communities is proactively doing it, and having new families meet families, older families who are already in school who speak the same language, using older students or other staff that speaks that language to help parents, to help them feel welcome and to not be self-conscious that they will be regarded as something less because they don't speak the school language or the majority language. So one of the main things that you can do as a school is to communicate to parents how important the school language is. How important the home language is. And also tell them why it's so important to continue building on those skills, because it sure boosts cognitive skills and social-emotional development. It helps with self-esteem. When children are allowed to speak their home language at school, they don't need to hide parts of themselves. They don't need to feel self-conscious. They feel good because they're allowed to show up as their whole multilingual, multicultural self, and they can be themselves. And home languages are the foundation for future language learning. It's let me give you one example why. For example, imagine you're a French family coming to the UK. You have a young child, 4 years old. She doesn't speak a word of English, and she starts in the English school. She starts going to school in English, and the teachers say, well, she doesn't speak any English, abandon the French, don't speak any more French to her, and just focus on English because she needs to really catch up with everybody else. So you have two options here. The first option, you decide to listen to the teachers, you abandon French completely, and you start focusing on English fully. What happens in a year? This girl's English skills are not really great. The problem is that her French language skills are also lacking. They're on the level of a 4-year-old and not a 5-year-old. And so that means her cognitive skills haven't really developed much because she hasn't developed her French, but she hasn't really developed any cognitive skills in English either. And imagine a different scenario. Imagine that you're told to abandon French, but as soon as you leave the school, you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not ready to do this. So you continue speaking French to your child at home. She continues developing her French skills, her cognitive skills in that language. And then in a year, her English is not that great, but her cognitive skills because you've continued speaking French to her, you've continued building her home language, her cognitive skills are on the level of a 5-year-old. And a 5-year-old brain learns better than a 4-year-old brain. So it's hugely important to continue doing this. Also, it's important to communicate to parents that learning a foreign language, going to school in a foreign language and learning the language and learning content through this language, it's not going to be easy. And that the teachers understand this and that they're willing and ready to help you. And that parents and teachers need to work together to overcome this obstacle. Otherwise, if this doesn't happen, there is a high chance of the children becoming what Jim Cummins calls academically disabled, which is a really, really sad position to be in. And it's not really conducive to academic success. So here are a few solutions that you can, ideas that you can extend, what you can do to, communicate to parents that the development, home language development is very important. It's, home language clubs that help each other with language development, help each other with older children, family who speak the same language. Grouping students together in class is, if you happen to have students who speak the same language, it's super helpful to group them together in class because they can discuss things in their home language and use it to, they can translanguage and they can use it to work on the tasks that are given to them in the school language. Providing parents with relevant school content is also a great tool because they can work on this content in the home language. They can work on the concepts. They can use anything, they can look things up because they won't necessarily know those concepts in their home language, but they can work with all the resources they have, thus building also academic level language in their home language as well. Literacy practices, it's very important to continue encouraging reading in the home language at home and to really, really exchange information with parents. What kind of literacy practices they have adopted at home that you need to know about. So when you see mistakes, for example, in the student work, you will know where those mistakes might be coming from, because it's not necessary that the child doesn't know, but there is influence, again, not interference, but influence from the home language. Incorporate family literacy project in class, doing, language days and so on, if you're allowed, depending on the school policy, of course. And communicating to parents that literacy skills are transferable. So, children will be able to become literate in multiple languages because they're able to transfer the skills from one language to another. And the closer the languages are, for example, if you have English and Spanish versus English and Japanese or Chinese, the easier it will be for parents, the easier it will be for the child to learn the school language. For example, I help my son a lot with his homework in Dutch. My spoken Dutch is not very good, but I understand a lot because I'm fluent in German. So the languages are close, so it wasn't very difficult for me to be able to do that. Then cross-linguistic influence. I already mentioned a couple of things. About this. What's important to convey to parents here is that when their child starts learning the school language, mixing languages is going to be it's going to happen, and it's going to be completely normal. It's going to be normal to see cross-linguistic influence in their schoolwork from one language to another. And it's completely normal, again, because all the languages are connected. They're all together in this common underlying proficiency. So that makes this linguistic fluidity possible. And also what parents need to know is that there is a difference between the language level needed to communicate and the language level needed for academic purposes. But the influence of the home language will not make it more difficult for a child to attain academic level language in the school language. Just the opposite. The more you develop your home language, the easier it will be to develop academic level language skills in the school language, which again will contribute to the academic performance. Another area that parents will, excuse me just a second. So another area that parents need a lot of support with, and they struggle a lot with, is homework, because parents really feel self-conscious and panic often because they cannot help their children with homework in the school language if they don't speak it or just speak a bit of it. So as teachers, as school, it will be great to extend some ideas and solutions, what parents can do at home to help with the homework. They can ask the child to explain the homework in the home language, or especially for a little bit older kids, employing translanguaging practices at home can be extremely beneficial, because it will help with the development of the school, of the home language as well. And if they need to check for language accuracy, they can always ask somebody, an older sibling or the neighbor or somebody that can help with this. And of course, if they're willing, and if the school has the resources, they can provide language lessons for the parents. Don't forget, this is really a super important message that I wanted to pass on today in light of this topic. Your opinion as educators matters a lot to parents. A majority of parents see teachers and the school as the authorities on anything that has to do with education. So you, as teachers and school, passing on those messages of the importance of home language development, of acceptance and inclusion, will make a huge impact on the way that parents handle their languages and manage their languages at home. It's going to have a huge impact on their self-esteem, on the children's self-esteem. Teachers are also an important source of feedback. So having this exchange, having this partnership and this collaboration, parents sharing what they're doing at home, and having this exchange and feedback from the school, and help what they can do better, how they can enhance their literacy practices at home, for example, and building these strong relationships. They're very, very important for language planning. And they're also, when you have support from your teacher, from your class, from your school, children feel a lot better about themselves. Their self-esteem is higher when they feel that they're accepted. All parts of them, not just the one part that is trying to focus on the school language and on the on the development of the school language, but also all the different parts of them that speak different language, that all the different cultural aspects, their multilingual, multicultural self, they show up in a different way. They have higher self-esteem, they are more motivated, they want to learn more, and they show up in a different way in their social circles and in their school as well, in the classroom. So here just a few ideas. Again, what you can do if you're on your own as a teacher, if you believe in supporting multilingual learners, if you believe in inclusion, and if you believe that it's important to support parents and support all the languages and cultures, but you don't have any support from anywhere, neither from your department or from your school, those are just a few ideas what you can do to do this. It's important to check in with our own beliefs, because we often everybody carries beliefs and ideas and attitudes about certain cultures, about certain people. So it's really important to think about those things and be aware, because this will be reflected in your behavior with families, how you address them, your body language, your just your whole attitude. And of course, all the different things that you can do as a one-person show, basically. Here is a few other ideas if you have the whole department, but not necessarily the school policy plays along. What's really cool, and it's been really helpful, building bridges and really tapping into the funds of knowledge that those families bring, because each and every family that walks through the doors of the school, they have funds of knowledge. They bring a lot of linguistic, cultural, socio-emotional knowledge, and tapping into this knowledge and utilizing it and using it for your own classroom practice can be hugely beneficial. Asking parents and grandparents to come, whoever's available and interested, to come and read, participate, talk about which languages are present in class, talk about the different languages, having everybody learn maybe a couple of words in each of those languages, which languages the teacher speaks, really including everybody. I had a really interesting experience with this one school. They had designated a language theme, and they had parents from different backgrounds come and read a book in their own home language to the kids. And they were looking at the pictures, and the kids were trying to guess, oh, what does this word mean? And what do you think this word means? Based on the pictures, trying to tell the story. And everybody was having so much fun, because they were like little detectives trying to figure it out. And they were just super engaged. And of course, you can do a lot if the whole school thinks this is a great idea, and this is a great way to go. Of course, the school language policy, the main document, is the most important document. And again, partner with heritage language organizations that can help with heritage language development, but also can provide resources where parents can join different communities and what parents can do in their own home language in the area or a little bit further away. Employ diverse staff, organize festivals, book fairs. start the call for book donations. Having a multilingual library is, of course, invaluable. And of course, professional development for teachers, because this is, they're an indispensable asset, of course. So there are the 5 things that you can do to support families right now. When you go to work tomorrow and talk to your families and talk to your parents or students, those are the 5 things that you can give them right now. 5 messages that sustaining the home language is vital. Languages in the brain support each other. They do not fight for dominance. Developing the home language will not take time away and space from the school language. It's vital for learning and achieving academic success. And again, they can always come to you. Be this space, safe space for them, that they can confide in you and they can use you as a resource of information. And of course, if everything works the way it's supposed to work, this is what we should have. Seemingly everything seamlessly working. So in conclusion, I just wanted to add that this exploration of the school role in family language planning, it's not just about education, but it's embracing the cultural wealth that students bring. And by understanding what family language planning is about and actively supporting the process, we contribute, educators contribute not only to the holistic development of their students, but also they contribute to the to creating a more sustainable school community, to the strength of their school community. And then I have some resources. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer questions. No questions? Comments? Ideas? Okay. Oh, here we have a question. What advice would you give if we have one dominant language in the school, but it is not the school language? I am not sure I fully understand the question. Not the language of instruction. Are all the families speaking that language? All the I am not sure I fully understand the question, but I'm gonna tell you, maybe just get in touch and then we can continue this discussion offline. I'll be happy to understand better. Okay, a big percentage speaks a different. Yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Every single teacher should be taught how to deal with pupils who speak different languages from the medium of instruction. Absolutely. This is really an area that is lacking, and this is an area where, yeah, we need to do a lot more work in educating everybody about bilingualism and development and how they should handle the languages and how teachers should work together. Content teachers should work together with language teachers, because in the end, every teacher is a language teacher, because before you teach content, you have to teach language as well. So it's about learning the language that is specific for your content, for your subject matter area. Yeah, but it doesn't, even if you're monolingual, it still doesn't prevent you from knowing how multilingual brains work. It's just what is needed is more professional development. Okay, our issue is that this other language is dominant at times. Not all students speak it, but about 60% of the students do. Okay, well, the language of instruction is one language, and then you have the other dominant language. And I would expect that a lot of students will be working together to understand the school language, working together in their home language, working through the home language to understand the school language. Yes, yes, of course. If you yourself speak multiple languages, you will be a little bit more aware of how that works. And you will also be aware of the fact that the more languages like learning languages, knowing languages helps you learn additional languages. And yeah. Okay, I am not sure I completely understand this question about the school and 60% speaking. So I would really be grateful if you can reach out and we can talk about this separately. I'll be happy to provide feedback in any way I can. Just, yeah, I will just put my email here in the chat. And then you can just reach out, or you can reach out through the website. Here. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your questions. If there aren't any more questions, you can also reach out through our website or through the email here. And yeah, we can take some discussions offline as well. Thank you very much. I will now end the session. Thank you. I really appreciate it.